Addy soldiers. This sweater that I'm wearing right now, the fabric is like 100% couch. I am a couch. Today is a bad pain day and guess whose prescription ran out? Let's distract ourselves. Let's talk about books in January because there was an awful lot of them. Looking at two piles that two piles that I have at my feet right now. Hot damn, I read a lot in January. January was a great month. Maybe is it due to me neglecting school? Maybe slightly. I feel like this is gonna be a long video. I'm gonna try and keep it short. We'll see what happens. Let's start and wrap up January in my January book haul wrap up. I remember how to YouTube. Let's start off with the one that everyone knew that I was looking forward to for like 3 years, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. All praise Holly Black, who is the holy grail writer of dark fairy tales. This book was good. And this is about a girl named Jude who, her and her sister are taken away to the fairy realm when they are quite little, and so they are growing up as humans in the fairy courts and having to figure out the politics and the intrigue as humans. I think I was expecting more. I just wanted it to be darker, and I get that it's YA, so you can only go so dark and so gory, whatever. Great twist ending. Was not expecting that. Did not see it coming. I really loved this as the beginning of a new series, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. Very similar to Cruel Prince with a A+ cover is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. Are you seeing this right now? I'm having a religious experience. The Hazelwood also follows that dark fairy tale vibe because this is about a girl named Alice whose mother and grandmother are obsessed with this fairy tale book, and it ends up that the fairy tales are maybe a little bit less tale than they are fairy. She falls into this other world where she is a little bit more important than she believes she is, and it's a really neat concept, but I was actually pretty disappointed with this book, honestly. Maybe I overhyped it for myself again, but I just felt like whenever it was getting really intense and really dark and really fairy-like, she just kind of like swerve off, and I was kind of like, but what was that great part? What was happening with the great part? You are starting to get into the dark fairy thing. This might be more for you. There was a couple of very dark parts that I loved, but I just wanted more of it, and it's just a standalone. And this could have been, you could have done like an 8-book series of this, Melissa Albert. That is a missed opportunity. I'm also realizing now that I read an awful lot of fantasy this month because I also read my way through Reign of the Earth by A.C. Goggin? Another type of Arabian mythology lore book with elemental magic. I did not enjoy this as much as maybe some people will. I just feel like I have heard this plotline before, although I really enjoyed the main character's perseverance because she goes through a lot of stuff that I would be throwing up a middle finger and being like, see ya, hella, bye. But she doesn't. She's very strong, and I really appreciate that, although I totally saw the love plot coming from like a million miles away. Now on to two books that are very outside of my normal reading genre, and that is like thriller mystery novels. I read both The Child Finder and The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld. Okay, these were pretty great. I really have to say I love Renee Denfeld's writing style, and she herself is a death penalty investigator, so there are both law themes in these novels, especially The Enchanted. It takes place in a prison, and the mentally unstable character whose mind we're in this one makes up fairy tale aspects of the prison to kind of help them survive. It was a really neat perspective. And then The Child Finder is about a detective who is investigating a missing child who also is using a fairy tale type of persona to help herself survive. I'd say also if like thriller crime things aren't your thing, like it wasn't mine, I would give these a shot because they were just fantasy enough, they're just bordering on fantasy enough that I really enjoyed them, and these are just definitely gonna be in like every video from here on out. I also finally read, and very much so enjoyed, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which is pitched to me as the end of the world happens, but like not in an exciting way. And then Shakespeare, which was fairly accurate. In this future scenario, there was a giant virus that wiped out a lot of the world just like a normal flu. There's no zombies, there's no apocalyptic scenarios, there's no robots or aliens. It's just like a bunch of people got sick and died. And the main characters are both past and present as they follow this traveling symphony of actors that go around and perform Shakespeare for the various camps and towns that they come across. And so it's some of the characters in that, some of the characters that those people knew before the world ended. It's a really neat perspective, very well done, very realistic, which is almost like a little bit scary because it does talk about like this is how the apocalypse would happen when the water runs out, when the food stores run out, when all the internet goes down, and it was, oh, so good. Oh my gosh, I love this. This is fantastic. Really, oh my goodness. More fantasy, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is a Russian folklore-inspired book with the main character being Vasilisa and her connection to the Russian folk tales that are alive in her forest in the town that she lives in. And as she grows and her connections to the Fae world become a little bit more apparent, there's a new preacher that comes into town, and so it was a very interesting correlation and fight between religion and the folklore, and I loved/hated the priest character. He was such a good character, but I hated him so much, and like, oh man, dude, just sit down, okay? And then one of the best sequels that I've read in a very long time. Ooh, Elise Kova, you nailed this, because Rebels of Gold was just mind-blowing. So much action packed into this book, so much political intrigue, so many dragons, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of heart-eating, you know, just like casual Saturday events. The ending of it was very interesting, so I feel like there's might be more in this series, or in this world at least, and I really hope so, because Loom, I'm not done with you yet. I want to return to Loom very badly. Oh hey, a sci-fi book, like the only dystopian sci-fi that I read in this month. That is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the sequel to Scythe, which is right there. Damn, Neil Shusterman, you are upping the stakes like it is nobody's business, because this was incredible! My boyfriend was there watching me as I finished about the last third of it, and I was laughing, I was crying, I was throwing the book around, not actually, but like I really, really wanted to, because this is one of the best sequels I've ever read in my life. This is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. If you have not picked up Scythe, you definitely should, because one of those books that really didn't get a lot of hype or advertising, and so no one really knew about it, and now everyone's like freaking out because they're trying to promote Thunderhead so badly. And please read Scythe, it's so good. I'm not even being paid to say that, I just love it so much, and this was a fantastic sequel. And I'm currently in the middle of two books at the moment, the first one being Markswoman by, okay, this is like the 8th time I've filmed this, Rati Mehrotra. And I'm also a good quarter of the way through Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenmarsh. And I feel like these are also going to be kind of mediocre, and I feel so bad saying that because these covers are incredible, and everyone's been freaking the freak out, all the publishers and everyone on Twitter is like freaking out about these books. But I think maybe they're for a younger audience than I am. I mean, I'm 22 and I read a lot of YA. This is about necromancers and having to bring back people from the dead, and then having an army of dead follow you around all the place. This sounds so cool, but I think the writing style's a little bit young, especially for, you know, blood and necromancers. And then Markswoman is good, but considering that I've read like 3 other types of Arabian mythology type books, I kind of like those more. Maybe we'll do some Instagram posts if I end up finishing these, and we'll see if I decide that they're more than mediocre. Also, if you're local to Vancouver, you might know her. Bookcat Pin is her vlog name, and it's Eileen, and I'm friends with her, and she gave me Labyrinth Lost. Thanks, Eileen, you're the greatest. We're swapping books, and so I swapped out for this one because this sounds super cool. It's voodoo. I've wanted to read this for like half a year. Yes, voodoo, the perfect thing to read over Valentine's Day week. And then my advanced copy lady hooked me up with a copy of Dear Martin by Nick Stone, which I am very interested in reading because I really loved The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas, and everyone was like, this is a good follow-up book, so we are gonna give it a shot. I also just had to buy a copy of Sea of Strangers by Lang Leave because I love Lang Leave, and this is her new book, and it surprised me, and so I was like, well, yes, I'm gonna buy another Lang Leave book this month. And then a very shiny cover right here is Blood and Sand by C.V. Wick. It's like if Spartacus was a woman. I'm down for that. I love every kind of Roman-esque mythology book. I love Roman mythology just as a general rule, so I'm very excited about this, but it's very hard to pose with it because I have my ring light and it's just so shiny. You know what? Because I have the one ring within this cover, I feel like if Sauron published a book, this is what it would look like. And lastly, leaving this one for last because I went to 3 bookstores trying to find this book and I got the only copy in the entire Lower Mainland, so if you're from Vancouver, sucks to suck, you'll have to wait longer for it. I picked up a copy of Let's Talk About Love by Claire Can. The reason I'm so excited about this book is because it has an ace main character, and I have never read anything from an ace main character's point of view, and I don't think many people have either, so this is a bit of a big deal when it's coming out and when it was being published, and now none of the bookstores carry it yet. So I got a copy. It is time to go get another cup of tea and some more painkillers, and by painkillers I mean crappy painkillers that don't really do anything for me. But I mean, like, a little bit's better than nothing, right? Man, I don't want to be seen like a drug addict on this channel, but like, I need the good stuff, okay? Please leave down below if there are any on my list that you are also excited to read, or if there are some that I definitely should read, if there's like any sequels or anything that I need to get caught up on. But don't hold your breath on me catching up on them within the next month or so. You know, like swanky doctor's offices or like dental clinics or whatever, they're like, the wait list is anywhere from 4 to 6 months. I feel like I'm that. If you're like, you should read a book, I'm like, okay, the current waiting list is 5.5 months. I hope you guys are having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!